Hello, welcome to McBoss Capital channel. My name is Michael Chu. This is market recap video for the week ending June 20th, 2025. We have the market reversed lower on Friday as it continued to digest the news between the Israel and Iran conflict. And we also have the Federal Reserve latest announcement on their rates, which is they obviously didn't change anything on Wednesday. Here's the weekly chart for Nasdaq Composite. We are, actually, we have this strong run, but this last 2 weeks, it closed at the bottom of the range, even though the range is quite tiny. Depends which angle you're looking at. Personally, for me, I feel like closing at the bottom is not a good thing. The other thing that we'll cover in the next video, which is the growth stocks list, it has deteriorated quite a bit as well. So with both the index and pulling back, let's go to daily chart on Nasdaq Composite here. So last week we closed off at the bottom of the week as well, and this week we did the same exact thing. I cannot believe it, because on Monday we had a nice gap up, and that was the bounce that, probably the best bounce you can hope for, because we went under 10-day last week and it was able to bounce back, and you would think it would continue. But instead, by the end of the week, we closed back below the 10-day again. So this is actually not good for the market, general market. Again, on top of that, I think the growth stock list also deteriorating as well. We saw some, bump up on Monday, but it has dwindled back to the, low 20s% in terms of uptrend, which is really low. So basically, we are swimming against the tide right now, and it's going to be much harder to at least make money on the long side. And so I would be more cautious and be less aggressive at this moment, because if the market does deteriorate further, it will probably start to go down a lot faster. Again, we stuck 2 weeks here, and we fell on this bounce, and we didn't make a higher high since then. Even though Friday we thought we were going to have a good day, but then it reversed right away. If we go to intraday, look at this nice bump here, and look at this sell-off right here. That is incredible selling pressure. And we know this is a quadruple witching day for options and future, but still, it's just incredible how much selling pressure there is. And then, as you see, by the end of the day, it just really have no power to even come back up, to close even in the middle of the range. So again, those are not good signs of the market to come. And I will be definitely pulling back a lot more. And again, this is 2 weeks in a row. We still have high distribution day count. So with Friday's close below the 10-day, we also saw really high volume because of the quadruple witching day, and that gives Nasdaq and S&P another distribution day. So this week we only have Friday as a distribution day, but if you go back the last 5 weeks now in a row, we have distribution days every week. And this brings the total on Nasdaq 4 distribution days and 7 on S&P. So but we might have three, because usually I think IBD will hold the distribution days for at least 5 weeks. So we could be coming off, some distribution days here from 5 weeks ago. So in the coming week, so that's mostly S&P, I think. 2 on S&P and one on Nasdaq. So unless we get more distribution days this coming week, then this number will stay. Otherwise, it will drop probably. But again, given where the market is right now, there's definitely a time to be more cautious. We're seeing also distribution on the stock side, as you see right here, versus the ones accumulated. There's some being accumulated, but just way more distributed. Industry groups are very similar. On the sector side, we actually turned negative on the net accumulation minus distribution. So you see there's way more stocks, 39 more stocks under distribution than accumulated. Same thing with industrial, health, technology, retail just barely moved back up a little bit on Friday. And then we have commodities still doing okay, and financial also in the negative. So other than energy, which is mostly oil and gas, did well this week overall. most areas are still down, and again, there's way more distribution than the accumulation. Here's S&P right here, and again, we're down this week. It's very similar chart on the advanced decline line right here. This is the low right here, and it is coming back right now. On the Nasdaq Composite, if you look down here, this is this low right here, and look at where we are. We are almost at that low again. So this is not good news for Nasdaq stocks. They're not doing as well as S&P for sure. So here's S&P. It also showed 2 weeks of tightness here, but really it's more of a stalling action than a holding action, because it closed both weeks in the low, right? And both weeks they couldn't move higher. And yeah, here's daily chart. This one actually broke to low already compared to this last low here. Whereas Nasdaq is still slightly above the previous week's low. But again, we break that low here, I think we're going lower, right? And 21 days is not that far away. And then that's the next support line. If we crash the 21-day, then we have to see if it will come down to 50-day, right? Which is much, much lower. So something to be mindful of there. For Dow, also stall. You can see it didn't even come close to last week's high, and then we're now at the bottom of the range as well. Pretty much where we closed last week. And on the daily chart, where you can see it more clearly here, it's just below the 10-day moving average. It has a huge problem coming out of the 10-day. Very similar on the Russell 2000 here, also didn't come close to last week's high, and we are near the bottom of the range again. And if we undercut the last 2 weeks low, I think we're definitely going down lower. So one thing that is kind of very interesting that's happening right now is looking at this Innovator IBD 50, which is the top 50 stocks here in this ETF. It's actually closed not at the low this week. And that is very surprising, because the index not doing that well. And yet, this is actually near the top. Again, this is the top 50 stocks. Now, I'm going to talk more about this in my growth stocks video. Please follow that. With only, like I say, about 25% of stocks in the uptrend right now on my list, which is like 350 stocks. That just tells me that the odds are very unfavorable. And also, like, it is very narrow, right? Because you only have around one in four stocks that are moving up there. So the top 50 seems to be doing much better than the rest of the other ones. So that is also very interesting, right? So let's go to daily chart here. You can see on Friday it actually closed at the top of the week, and also is near a new breakout zone, right? So we have tried this, at least one time here it fell, right? And now this is the second time it came back above it. So if this breaks out, again, the top 50 stocks are, doing much better than the rest of the market, which is very interesting. So if you want to see what's on my growth stocks list, please make sure to follow the next video. So for next week, we have Powell in the headline. He'll be testifying before Congress and also appear at the U.S. House Financial Service Committee and also the Senate Committee. We'll have the S&P flash ratings for U.S. service and manufacturing PMI on Monday, latest consumer confidence report on Tuesday, durable goods order on Thursday, and Friday we have the PCE report, personal consumption expenditure, which is the Fed's favorite inflation gauge, which comes on Friday. And earnings news, we have FedEx, Micron, Nike. So Micron is probably, the chip area. There might be some movement there. This Sunday, which is June 22nd, Tesla is supposed to launch their robo-taxi in Austin, Texas. So we'll see how that goes. And the 10-year yield, it is kind of on a downtrend right now. You can see the upper channel line here, and it has problems obviously coming up. This is good news for the market. I think that's one reason why market hasn't done too badly. It's because this has been holding at the 4.4 level, 4.5 is right here, and obviously 4.6% is right there. So we'll see how this continues. Like, it looks like it might break the bottom zone channel line here. We'll see. At least it has come down again. So So the US dollar actually bouncing back this week. Not sure how that's going to play out for the equities, but it's been holding up. Like, yeah, it's bounced back quite a bit. So if we crash comes above this red line, which is the 50-day, then we could see much higher here. And this could, if this happened, this could bring more pressure to the market. So that's another problem. And then we have U.S. oil price continue to move higher. So the Israel-Iran conflict is definitely putting a move on this oil, and oil stocks are pretty much leading the way this week. So we'll look at that in my growth stocks video. But in general, yeah, look at this nice cup-shaped base and how fast it's coming back on the right side. So it's gonna probably break out soon. So watch out for that one. Gold has been very quiet. It tries to break out right here on this traditional cup pattern. It didn't work, but it is not pulling hard back too hard. It's just kind of now going sideways as the 10-day has hit the 10-day here, and the 21-day is also around that area. So it's kind of subsided right now. Silver has also come down pretty hard. So it went pretty high here. And then now it has fallen below the 10-day in just one day on Friday. So that's a big sell-off right there. We'll see if we can find support level soon. It's the copper index. Copper is just again stuck in the trading zone right now in this pendulum move. So it looks like there's a lot of potential, right? Like this could move out in one way or the other as well. So we'll see what happens here. And then for Bitcoin, it has gone lower. So this cup with handle pattern has, first it breaks out here, it fell, pulls back pretty hard, then it comes back up again, and then it fell again. So that is not a good sign. So, even though it hasn't come down hard yet, but that's usually not a good sign, especially when they break an upward trend line here and they couldn't go. So that's not a good sign. So looking at the semiconductor, this has been really strong, right? Look at how many blue weeks there are, the positive weeks. And the only week that is down are very low volume. So this is one potential good sign for the growth stocks, especially in the chip area. They're just holding really tight. And you can see it right here as well. It didn't make a newer low yet, at least, not yet. We are still pretty close to the high, so just like the general index. And let's just take a quick look at, mega cap here, NVIDIA. So this one also trading very tight, although it hasn't moved much in the last 2 weeks, right? Just like the market itself. So it just hasn't been able to move. Still close to previous high. So yeah, you can consider this, from a longer point of view, maybe this is a good thing because it has been digesting all the uptrend here, and it's just going sideways, right? It's just going sideways. So it could eventually come out, right? So that's something to watch for. Let's look at Avago here. Very similar. It tried to come out here. It kind of fell and just go back to the 21-day, just slightly above the 21-day here, and just going sideways again. So not necessarily a bad thing because this is such a strong uptrend, right? And just going sideways instead of coming back down is so far kind of good progression here. Especially the last 2 weeks have been quite wobbly in the market. TSM got hit pretty hard on Friday. Not sure if there was news like related to Chinese or restriction or US restriction or anything like that. So yeah, it's actually hit a newer low here recently. So that could be, I don't know, not a good thing at least right now. Then we have IGV, the software group, like the mega cap software group here. We'll look at that in a second. This one is sliding down. Not hard, but it is sliding down. We have this huge uptrend right here. Then we kind of pull back pretty strong, not too strong, or like near the 21-day. And then we bounce again, make a new high. And it's trading really tight, but then now we have make newer lows. So anytime I see newer lows, it's something I always want to be aware of that because that's usually might be the beginning of a downtrend when you have newer lows and lower highs, right? Lower highs and lower lows, right? So that's always a negative. Microsoft continued to hit new high on Friday, but it did reverse, so it still looked very strong this time. Look at it only touches the 10-day like right here and maybe right here, and that was it. Like this whole uptrend has been really strong. Like Microsoft really doing well with their AI stuff as from the last report. They continue to be the leader. If AI continues to be the future, I think Microsoft is in a very good place right now. On the other hand, Google, it fell pretty hard on Friday. I'm not sure if there was news. There probably is. I just don't know what it is. But because you don't usually make this kind of move. Yeah, I only found the news where the appeal on the antitrust, I think roughly $4.7 billion in EU was rejected. So that was one news for sure. Anyhow. Yeah, this chart looks kind of damaged right now. Like it's pretty hard job, so I would be mindful of that as well. Like, it's definitely not one of the strongest mega cap this year. And then recently we have lots of meta news about buying AI and trying to scoop up other leaders in that field. And yeah, and but even then it still fell on Friday. Look at this with all that news. Again, this market is just not in a great place right now. And when we see huge vertical bar, I always be a little bit worried that that might not be something that starts something new. Like look at this one right here. So yeah, watch out. Look at this one right here. Right, it always start with a big vertical bar at the top, so be mindful of that. Amazon also making newer low, so that's not good. I think their Prime Day is coming in a few weeks here. Can't remember. This July 8th or 11th. I can't remember, something like that. Anyhow, this is not acting well as well. Here's Apple. Apple has been in a pretty long-term downtrend right now, which is not good. But Friday, it make a very surprising move when the market is down. So, not sure if there's any news on that, but that's a very interesting move right there. So as mentioned earlier, Tesla gonna have the robo-taxi event. That will, the stock hasn't moved at all in the last 7-8 trading sessions, which is not a bad thing. It fell down here, then it bounced back pretty strong, and then now it just went sideways. So when it goes sideways, it's not a bad thing. It's just digesting. But again, I think it's gonna be driven by news one way or the other about how the robo-taxi event will go this week. If they get into accident, I'm sure it'll be down a few percent that day. And finally, we have Netflix also do pretty good on Friday here. It's able to come out of this sideways action, and it's been making higher highs 2 days in a row. Let's look at intraday chart here. Yeah, so here's the highs right there. It's been slowly making higher highs. Although there's still lots of selling after the fact, but overall it's able to hold. So and it's living above the short-term moving average right here. So we'll see how that goes. As June is coming to an end, we'll be seeing how the market reacts with all this geopolitical news, and there seems to be lots of AI news lately as well, and then obviously the terror stuff's coming up in July, so the deadline, the 90 days deadline. So expect the market to be more turbulent, and hopefully not too many distribution days. As I mentioned earlier, some will drop probably this week, but if new ones come in, then that's not a good sign, because that just means those are fresh distribution days. That means there's more selling in the marketplace. The one last thing I wanted to just quickly show here, at least looking at, let me go to, here's the Nasdaq stochastics. Generally the stochastics, they don't stay at the top for too long. And what we've seen in the last year here, it definitely looks like recently this uptrend here has been at the top for the longest time. I mean, there's always a dip, so this one has a dip. So whether we can come back from that dip, I'm not sure. But if it doesn't, they always come all the way back down to the bottom end of the range. So selling pressure will could really take it down. So like I said, we are at a I'm not saying critical point, but it could be a critical point in terms of where we're heading. Like we can either just kind of slide back up, and again we have this huge resistance level. The one thing I don't like is how we're seeing resistance not even near the 20,000 mark, right? Like we never even come close to it. So here's S&P, very similar. So this one already has one dip, and now look at that, it's making a newer low right on that dip. So the stochastics are saying we're seeing more weakness here, at least from the technical strength here. And again, so this one did touch the round number 6,000 mark, but I mean, look at all these days here. It just couldn't go. It go below 6,000, it come back above 6,000, and then it has several times this week to go above it again, but it didn't. So, all right, thank you all for watching this video. If you like, please subscribe and put a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.